No, but this is something else. Also, that we have to work on communication. I think this is a very important factor in the internationalization of universities, of education, and of cultural hubs like this.
Would you like to add something to this part? Okay. One of the main complaints here in this culture is that cultural policy is not developed as a collaborative effort by decision makers and experts, actors, stakeholders of this field, which we call contemporary art. How about in Switzerland? Can you explain it?
Well, it's a while since I'm like almost 5 years in Austria now, and I was quite young when going to Austria. So, but from what I'm observe from outside now is that it's quite a heterogeneous fabric of fundings and who is taking decision makers and so on. For example, there is let's take Zurich, and there is a communal prize for contemporary art, like 10,000 euros for the winner. There is a cantonal, like so city, canton, and these are completely different juries composed of artists that change every 2 years, and there's like in average between 5 and 10 people in the jury, and they change really every 2 years. So it cannot be really corrupted because you even don't know when you know who it is in, it's already the next term, and so it's tax money, but the people, there's maybe one cultural politician one politician like or two, so it's 20% from the whole Jew. So this is, and it's a very heterogeneous fabric of decision makers. So it in a way reflects a little bit the whole politics, which is I think one of the few direct democracy, like can slow down a lot of decisions. It's not often so fast in some decisions, but you vote about a lot of things in Switzerland. So every 2 months you vote about something, but in that reflects a little bit the resistance to corruption, or that the opinion is there's an overhand of decision maker on one or the other side. The other thing, what is pretty much a strength, I would say, in the terms of the cultural situation, is the density of private foundations. I worked for a long time also as it was mentioned Kulturált Zurich actually was also much more independent creator at that time, and that was only one occupation. But it's really the initiatives from artists and creators is honored in a way that you can get when you send out 50 letters of like to get subsidies, and you will get answered, like I would say 10% positive. So at the end, with a lot of energy, you can make your show, you can make your project through the help of their 2,000 euros, their 4,000. It's not a lot, but there's really a very big density of that kind of, often also individual people like that. They have the foundation, and again there is a jury. So it's not the funder who decides, but a jury of 5 to 10 people, and this makes it quite there's a strong basis for this independent, let's say, off space, blah blah. Yeah, I mean, like besides other cultural institutions, and yeah, and one of the most famous one is the Kulturpolitik. This is not. I mean, this is also independent. It's from the whole. How do you say that? It's a supermarket chain, but 1% of the whole revenue is put into culture. And this is quite a lot for this. And they have the museum in Zurich with a big collection. Rein Wolf was there for a long time director, and now Heike Munde. Well, this is also has a role model in a way. This Kulturpolitik, who was also founded once, like in the 40s, functions as a role model for other small private funding systems now. And I mean, in the 40s, I have to say, maybe now Switzerland has this reputation, but Switzerland was not so rich in the 40s. After the war, a little bit more. Because of the banks, but just to say that this was really installed also even before. It not has directly something to do with the financial situation of the country.
One more question about the individuals who donate. They have philanthropic or tax considerations, or both?
Actually, I know a little bit in Switzerland, it's both. And you know, this classical the philanthropist is not existing in Europe, yeah, between what we find in North America and even in South America. But in Switzerland, it's quite interesting. It has a lot to do with but you have also very bad examples. You know, you get as if the Flick collection gets also a lot of tax reductions, but they never paid yeah. So no, but the tax reductions you get as an association in the Netherlands, this is really a role model, and that's a problem that is for the in most European community countries it's not existing, even though. Only with a certain little mini amount, but I like that model of. Now I understand also your idea of what evaluation means, and that has this anti-corruption. I like the model of the funding system in Switzerland a lot. It's very unique. On the other hand, there are lots of. I have to think about this post-social democratic countries in Europe. The Nordic countries, Austria, we shouldn't forget about this too, and they are a little bit different to only the money machines, the economic money machines like France and Germany. Yeah, but in Germany, on the other hand, there are lots of individuals. And there is a growing number, it's called Bundesverband der Deutschen Industrie, Kulturka. They have a cultural association of the economical success of Germany are these smaller companies between 5,000 and 10,000 employees, as not Siemens or VW, whatever. You have thousands of those companies, and they have a foundation or association, and this is growing. The success of this foundation is now growing. The people who are sitting in the countryside, in the middle of nowhere, and having employ those people, it's also after this micro percent, because the people see that how important culture and education is for their employees, for their children, and for the reputation of those companies. Yeah. But at the same time, for this you don't need any tax reductions, but it's a very good question. This is also, that is something what needs to change in Europe, in all countries, tax reductions for.
Tax, in this case, government, so individuals or corporation just doesn't pay the tax. They just transfer the money to someone else, but the decision maker is not a politician, but a cultural organization, a museum, a university, and so on. This is very similar to the US model, where there are three economic sectors: the private sector, the government sector, and the non-profit economy. And there's huge money donated by individuals and corporations from the private sector to the non-profit economy. That, in Hungary, for instance, we have some very, very, very small and modest and shy steps taken to develop such a, I wouldn't call it a non-profit economy, but the government had little efforts to establish something like this. For instance, as I mentioned in my brief intro, the performing art organizations and film industry enjoys donations from private sector because of tax considerations, tax reductions and tax deduction. Not the contemporary art institutions.
And the sports.
I don't want to talk about sports, Barnabas, because it's obvious, yeah. And not every sports, actually, 5 of them enjoy this. So my point is that, okay, this kind of new, this could be a very important element of a new cultural policy. We learned it from the United States, we learned it from Switzerland, but the existing law and regulations for cultural policy are really inconsistent and incoherent. So we just outcry permanently, and we are really jealous of performing artists and guys working for the film industry. We cannot get that money anymore. It's time to open the discussion, so please ask your questions or add your comments. And you agree to open the discussion, or we have so much to say? I know that this conversation covered a lot of different issues, but these issues were very interrelated. So if you ask yourself, what was it about, culture policy?
Thanks, Janusz. I was just wondering whether we should make a connection between what you're talking about in terms of the shift towards a more instrumentalized view of arts policy by governments, or moving away from this kind of ban on instrumentalizing the arts. You talked about the reasons for that. The connection between that and the kind of changing pattern of changing behavior of funders, which was also mentioned. So the way that arts funders like, say, Arts Council UK have quite famously got more involved in putting pressure on organisations to fulfil a certain political agenda, especially during the Blair era, maybe also today as well, and also more kind of like non-profit grant-giving organisations. You mentioned the Mondial Foundation, but also you could also say European Cultural Foundation also doesn't give money for just purely artistic projects, but they have to be collaborations, and they give much less money than they used to. And all these institutions seem to have a tendency that's already been mentioned to do things themselves, to somehow maybe even cut out the middleman of the curator, or maybe even they don't need the artist anymore. They tend to produce a lot of content themselves, these organisations. There are quite a lot of examples of completely private institutions, the employees of private grant-giving institutions, not behaving as grant-giving institutions, but instead doing the work directly, curating exhibitions themselves. I just think there's probably is a connection between these two phenomena that you've brought up today.
Thank you, Ruben.
It's oh my God! It's such a fine line, not getting moralistic, discussing those topics. This is why I find it so extremely complicated. What do we? More? No. talking about why do we? No, but no. It's very interesting how what you. Oh my God, no, I cannot answer it. Yeah, it's saying that it really brings us. What is democracy? Why can we ask for public money? Yeah? This is also permanently. Why? But it was interesting that when artists were offering apply for certain projects in the public realm. You know, that it's almost an assignment. I'm so sitting in those juries is so boring. Yeah, then you see that the funder can pick what he wants. You know, because just you answer a question. This is so dangerous, and also the state agencies, they are asking for participation. Then you get tons of projects which participative art practice with children between 3 and 3.5. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's so it's more complex than just talking about money. This I wanted to say, but I also don't have any answer. But I like yours. You give an answer to yourself.
I don't know, I have sometimes really the feeling that this kind of activity around contemporary art, the curating as an activity, it started to be too attractive to anyone who is around certain budgets, public budgets, and feels kind of temptation. Why not to make something from his or her own idea, imitating kind of contemporary art programs.
So how to educate curators?
So that's it's also a question how we can accept the society the value of our activity. What is the value in our activity? So I think it's important to avoid this type of amateurism or dilettantism in this, which ruins the reputation of the real value of the critical art and the progressive art. So probably it's also connected to this question.
May I add a mini thing? We shouldn't. It's very dangerous to talk about it. I think as artists, curators, people working in museums, doesn't matter in which kind of position, we are working in a very almost in a luxurious field. You know, we do jobs. Probably we don't get rich, but we do jobs which we like, and we are, it's kind of we do. Even, and I know it from the institutions I was working. The badly paid secretary or caretaker, they loved their job, and we are, but half of the people don't like their jobs, and really pay tax, and or are even unemployed. It's really it's a tough life which we sometimes, I think, coming from this field, don't see. Yeah, and it sounds almost populist. I know, no, but I think we have to be aware that we are from where we are coming from and to whom we are talking to. And do we probably have an answer now to your indirect question? Do we have to give the people what they already know, or do we have to give an answer? What do we have to provide? It's not just knowledge or nice artistic practice or nice artworks. I think we have to provide something meaningful which has nothing to do with art. Sorry, just to think. I don't know. So talking about labor, I think this is very important at this very moment. What is labor as coming from the artistic field, not curatorial field.
Yeah, I mean, I just once more can illustrate what you said. I mean, is, in other terms, you don't have to make your job if you don't show what you have, the feeling, you have the urge to communicate. I mean, that's the integrity of the understanding of our profession, no? Well, but maybe this is too a little bit naive, but...
No, I know, but it's very moralistic again, but it's...
I'm asking the audience if you have questions, comments, because we are running out of time. Yes.
Yeah, working in a cultural institution myself, I'm also confronted with the same bunch of questions, and I'm asking myself constantly if there's also a lack of mediation from the side of the institutions. Because what I heard up to now, it's really, in a way, addressing topics and issues outside the institution. And I wonder how you take a stand or stance in it from a personal practice as a cultural worker within an institution.
I'm not sure if I understand your question, but you mean is what you mean is what are the practices or strategies to mediate our own work? Is that what you asked for? I'm not sure I understand.
More if you're content about the way of mediation, especially if you look back to the last 10 years. And what happens to cultural institutions and the legitimacy of cultural institutions within the social realms.
Well, it's definitely many things changed in the past 10 years. I mean, an institution doesn't even have to go there. I mean, you can on the website go through all the exhibition rooms and stuff like that. I mean, but this has immediate consequences on how about the legitimation of why do we do shows that people should go to see. I mean, this is a phenomenological question, so I cannot really give an answer, but only the one that we really have to rethink models of how we make. There's not one way of mediating the work we are doing, and definitely not to get a lot of press releases, because the landscape of the press is really like dying, right? So dying out. But this is an interesting time because we are in the process of we can also shape this, right? I don't know if I understand. But for example, just to mention an example, it's a coincidence. Somebody told me yesterday was a huge thing, like because no, 2 days ago at 9. Well, it's. I tried to think about why it's so revolutionary, but in any case, it was a performance by Joan Jonas in the Tate, and it was for some reason in a very specific way. You could watch it online, and she agreed to do that. And I didn't see it, but some people it went a little bit around, like people interested in her work. We knew that's very special for Joan. Obviously she was very much briefed about how she makes this. So it was at Tate, but it was also very important that it's visible through internet and Even though I was thinking, okay, like live streams is not something new and so, but the institution was very aware of letting know people interested in this performance artist that it's integral part of the performance, that you also can see it online. So you don't have to be there. So things like that, I think are really, we have to really think about this. Yeah, I'm a little bit afraid of this virtualization of the art. I mean, I feel well in physically in shows, but I'm also interested why there are many reasons you can have a look at it in a mediated form. So that just as an illustration of maybe us.
Catherine, Nikolaus, Barnabas, thank you very much. And you provided very interesting, very impulsive ideas we should think about. Thanks for coming, and thanks for your attention. Goodbye.
Thank you.